My name is Benjamin Graham Sanderson from Pasadena, California. Warren, thank you for all you've taught us over the years. Earlier you said nobody but Steve Jobs could have created Apple, but nobody but Tim Cook could have developed it like he has. Warren, nobody but you could have created Berkshire. And I presume you view Greg as an outlier among outliers. But he seems so normal. Sorry, Greg.
That's a nice way of saying it's not normal, actually, but I appreciate it.
So I was hoping you could share what specifically about Greg makes him your preferred successor. And Greg, we're excited to get to know you more over the next few decades. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, you've hit on the most important question. And in terms of the business, we've got a wonderful group of businesses. We've got an ability to do things that nobody else can do, which is hard to get in a capitalistic system that's been developed as fully as the United States has been. I mean, imagine being able to create something that in a very, very, very big playing field, you'd really be very, very hard to develop anything like it. I don't think you could develop the people around it, let alone the capital position, and the history and everything else. And the answer, of course, is that it does take a long, long time, and it takes getting around you a small cadre of people, which then spreads out somewhat, where you've got mutual trust, where people do more than their share. And I've been around a lot of businesses over the years, and by nature, I'm somewhat critical of everything. I mean, I'm looking for what's wrong in things, because that's part of investing is looking, what are you missing? But we have, we've got people that, if they're asked to put on a show like this, instead of doing whatever their regular job is, they participated. I went around the groups of people who were exhibiting yesterday for an hour and a half, and these are people who are thanking me, and totally enthused about coming and doing a lot of work for which they don't get paid anything extra. And I don't know anything about the arrangements the individual companies make, but they work hard and they enjoy their work. And you really want to work at something you enjoy. I've had 5 bosses in life, and I liked every one of them, and they were all interesting. I still decided that I'd rather work for myself than anybody else. But if you find people that are wonderful to work with, that's the place to go. And I've told my kids that, basically, that you don't get lucky like I did when I found at 7 or 8 years of age what really interested me. It could have taken a lot longer, but you want to find the song. Find the sound is, there's a movie called The Glenn Miller Story, and Glenn Miller went on from having a broken down band for 15 years to turning out the first. He found the sound and created the first gold record. I don't know whether any of you know what it was, but it was the Chattanooga Choo Choo in 1941, I think it was. And he turned around from being a nothing with the band that he had till he found the sound. And I always have told my kids ever since that their sound isn't my sound, but and you don't find it necessarily on the first job you take, because you got to eat, but if you get lucky like I did, you find it when you're very young, and then just keep doing it, and don't worry too much about starting salaries, and be very careful who you work for, because you will take on the habits of the people around you. So there's certain jobs you shouldn't take, but got the greatest country in the world, and you got the greatest time in the world. So I would say that while I'm handing this over to Greg, that you can't even dream all the dreams that you could have about a place like Berkshire. But big thing you have to do, though, is always to be sure you can play the next day. I mean, in terms of financial activities on a meaningful scale, you don't want to go. There was a book about, what was the name of that book? You only have to get rich once. I mean, you don't want to do anything that risks what's been created. If very stupid things are happening around you, you do not want to participate. If people are making more money because they're borrowing money, or they're participating in securities that are really pieces of junk, but they hope to find a bigger sucker later on, you just have to forget that. That'll bite you at some point. And the basic game is so good, and you've been so lucky to be born now. I mean, if I'd been born in 1700, I'd say, I want to go back in the womb. What the hell with this? I mean, it's too hard. But now I've come along to do something where I can just play around all day with things I enjoy doing. And it's a pretty wonderful life. Anything, Greg, you want to add or subtract from that?
Nothing to subtract, but I would always just say I couldn't be more, as I've said in the past, more humbled and honored, obviously, to be in this role. But to have actually been part of Berkshire for, Warren, it's now 25 plus years, had the opportunity to be part of Berkshire and to work with you and Ajit and our board, but many other people in our company. And as you touched on, when you find something like that, and you find something like that, like Berkshire, that's so special, you fall in love with it, and it becomes just what you want to do every day, and it's just an incredible opportunity. So thank you.
And to the gentleman who asked the question, if you don't find it immediately, don't starve to death or anything in the meantime. But you will find it, and you'll find it in the right individual. In a sense, it's somewhat like finding the right person in marriage. I mean, probably the first. Some of you may have married the person you met on your first date. Although I guess they don't even have dates anymore. But sometimes it pays to wait too.